This is Carrington, North Dakota, on Highway 52 281. About 4 hours to Canada. Spent the night at the petrol in Fargo, and a friend of mine told me that there was a shop in there that worked with these small Honda motors. Right on the other side of the interstate, basically just 2 minutes from petrol. And I called them yesterday and they were closing at 6, but they open at 8, so I went there this morning and told them that basically I just got this trailer and I didn't know how to use the motor properly, and said it's just too much soot inside. And the guy tried to start it. It was missing, you know, kind of like arrhythmia, and the guy says, oh, it's hunting. So what do you mean? Oh, he says, oh, we call it hunting, like hunting for fuel. He says either fuel or air, and he asked me to take off the air filter, and he started without the air filter, just for testing purposes, you know, and it worked much better, much smoother. And he says, I said, well, can you just maybe check the oil, see if it's already contaminated, you know, filter the plug? And he said, well, it looks like all you need is an air filter. And they let me inside the shop, and it's like a great shop, you know, lots of goodies inside. It's not just a shop, but it's like a store, actually, like a retail store. It was, it's called the Northern Tool. And I go there and I buy like 70 bucks of stuff, and they showed me this, so I bought 2 of these filters, and I see they come with these what they call pre-filters, and he says, yeah, keep them on. I said, but don't they block the airflow? He says, no, that's how they test them at the factory, and they're designed for this. And this, like, what, 16 bucks? Yeah, 16.90 something. And so I put one on, and we tried it, and it started right away. Oh, and then another thing they did, they recommended I buy this. This is some kind of Startron special thing that they use in these small motors. And I put half of this in the tank, and he says it cleans up the entire fueling system. It helps all this contamination, you know. And it's specifically designed for, you see, for gasoline engines. And so I bought this, and I put this on, and then together with the new filter, it just started like, I never heard that Honda sound so good, you know. So now it works great. And just in case they didn't replace it, but I just bought these plugs, you know, because they're like nothing. What are they? $2.98 each. So now I have 2 of these plugs, and so my Honda is now pretty happy. And the guy showed me how to use it, of course, you know, like everybody was saying, just you close the choke only for starting purposes, then right away you start moving a little bit. And I said, how do you know when to start moving, when to start opening? And he says, you will hear the RPM dropping. He says, if the RPM drops and the engine is kind of starts stuttering, ready to shut down, that, he says, your signal that you gotta move that choke to the right, to the closer to the open position, right, like to the normal position. And I said, is there any part of the engine I can touch, like to feel when it's warm, to see if the engine is already warmed up? And he says, no. He says, just go by the RPM, or when it's warm weather like this, he says, just maybe like a minute, half a minute. But when he started, I see him, as soon as he started the engine, he moved it a little bit right away. He didn't keep it in that all left position, because he says there's no air, like the mix is very rich. And by the way, some people were laughing at me, but it is a 4-cycle engine. It just has only 1 cylinder, and I was a bit upset to learn it had only 1 cylinder, because you would think that when you buy a trailer that's worth like tens of thousands of dollars, you would get at least a 2-cylinder engine. 1 cylinder. I said, how much horsepower? The guy says 13. 13. You know, my Ram truck has 400 horsepower. This thing has 13, and I gotta use it to operate the hydraulics on my 55-ton lowboy trailer. But what do you do? That's the card I was dealt, so I gotta live with it. 1 cylinder. Another news is that my salesman, the Mac guy, finally heard from the factory, and he said it still was not too late to change the color. So he says, you want to change the color of the truck? I said, well, yeah, I want it. And I told him before, I said, I want either blue or gray, like my Ram truck. And based on some shop comments I got out of Australia, I decided against the blue, because even though the internet says, yeah, blue and orange, they go together, but it's kind of like too bright, you know. And so I said, let's go with gray. You know, like I said, give me gray metallic, kind of like rich looking graphite, and I sent him a picture of my truck. And the next thing I know, the guy says, you have a paint code. And I know we all carry, you know, pieces of paper with paint codes for our favorite colors in our pockets. It's just that so happens that on this particular morning, I did not have that piece of paper with me. Paint code. Turns out there's like a million of gray shades of gray, right? And the guy says, I said, if I send you a VIN number for my Ram truck, can you find it? He says, no, but I'll figure something out. And I was thinking about this. You know what? I'm tired of these paint codes. Hard to find paint, hard to match, right? Based on my experience with this, limited experience with this orange trailer. And there's only two colors that you don't need to know the paint code for. And you probably guessed it. One is white, like pure white, not milky or something, but just pure white color. There's only one. And then the other one is black, pure black. And I figured, you know what, I'll just go with one of these basic colors to make it easy, and so that you don't need any paint codes. You can tell the person on the phone the color of your truck that you want. And the white trucks, they're easy to clean. But look at this, there's a pickup, big white pickup, another white pickup, white International, white Canworth, right? It's like every second truck is white, you know? It's like, I don't like it. I don't like to be like everybody else. So I said, you know what? Let's go back to the original plan, make it black. And that's the big news for the day. So the truck is going to be black metallic, just like I originally wanted. Wow, check out that Peterbilt that was parked next to me. Nice paint scheme. Animal hauler. What do you call it? Anyway, it's gonna be black. Oh, and we changed the. I'm gonna pay them $800 extra. And basically, what I learned from, I was talking to some heavy haul guys since I started doing this stuff, and even based on this, what I'm hauling now, 46,000 pounds, I think that I need four tires on the lift axle instead of two. You know, if one blows up, you still have 3 left, and one guy says make sure you get the same tires on your trailer. And so I emailed this guy. I said, you know, let's change the lift axle and let's make it 25,000 pounds on the Mac and 4 tires, and I send them the specs for my trailer tire, and it's like 16 ply 275/70 R22.5 tire, very strong tire. Each one is rated for like 6,400 pounds. Basically it's 25,000, you know. And that's what we're gonna have. We're gonna have all aluminum wheels, like 4 wheels, lift axle, standard lift axle, 4 tires, the same as on my trailer, and even the make is going to be the same. I think it's Minot. And he says that's $800 extra. I said, well, no big deal. He says, what do you want to do? You want to change the bill of sale, or you want to pay us cash? I said, I'll pay you cash when I get back. I said, I should be back in Ontario maybe in 7-10 days. And the guy says, okay. So that's what's happening. So now all I need to do is, because I'm not too far from Canada, I gotta order a Saskatchewan permit, because Landstar ComData don't work with these Western Canada provinces. And I know Landstar has an annual permit for Alberta, so I don't need to order that one. I just need to get a copy. Maybe I have it somewhere. I'm gonna look through my paperwork, because I was here like with a heavy load a few months back. But I have an account with Saskatchewan Ministry of Transportation. I just gotta call them and give them the account number, and they'll. And funny, in Saskatchewan, they don't even issue any they don't even send you any papers. they just give you a reference number. You know, they say that's your permit. So if a cop in Canada, in Saskatchewan, stops you, you say, I'm sorry, like they ran out of paper, they just give me this number, and they said I should give it to you. And the guy's supposed to put it in his computer, and he'll see the online reference. That's how they do it in Saskatchewan, you know, saving some trees because they don't have any. I reached Minot, North Dakota. Lots of agricultural trailers here. My yellow beast is still there, sitting on top of my orange beast. And I got my permit, Saskatchewan permit, and I don't know why. It's because it's only less than 10 feet wide. It was free. They just gave me a reference number, right? So I was good to go. And from here it's about less than 2 hours to the border. And I remembered, right, that when you're bringing in a new machine, there's always something you gotta pick up. Just like I brought in the trailer, right, and I had to deal with a REV, a registry of imported vehicles, and I'm going into Canada with this brand new motor grader, right, and I figured that I would not be able to go through the border like automatically. And I did put my sticker on my bill of lading. I sent it to the customs broker, but just to be on the safe side, I call them now, because it's at the end of the day, and I can only cross, like if that's the case, I can only cross when that office is open. And I call my customs broker and I say, okay, here's the POS number, can you please track it? And she tracked it and she says, yeah, you're good to go, except that you gotta stop at this other broker, like their agent at this particular crossing, and pick up the RIV package. I said, pick up what? She says, well, RIV. I said, oh, okay, RIV. I know that abbreviation because I just had to deal with them, right? And I said, do you know the hours? That other broker, the other agent, when do they close? Because it's already 5 o'clock Eastern time, and it's 4:05 Chicago time. But then over there at the border, they can be either on Central time, but as soon as you go like 2 minutes away from the border, it becomes Regina time, which is 2 hours earlier than Eastern time. And so she gave me the phone number, and I called that office, and the lady says, no, we close at 5. I said, what time? Are you on Eastern time, Central time? She says, Saskatchewan time. I said, okay, what's the time now in your office? She says, 3. And I'm looking at my dashboard, 5. Alright, so that means that she's 2 hours in so she's on Regina time, and she doesn't even know what time she's on, because there's 2 time zones in Saskatchewan. One closer to Manitoba is still Chicago time, one closer here to Regina and west is Regina time. And she says, yeah, we close at 5, which means that, you know, I just came here, I want to take a break, so I'm not going to make it. And I said, oh, and she said, somebody is available after hours till 11. And I said, yeah, but then you have to pay them to come to the office. She says, absolutely. And I said, wait a second, I work 24/7, no one is paying me, right, for working after hours on weekends, you see? That's, like I said, like I always say, when they say that trucking is a 24/7 industry, they're only talking about drivers. The drivers are supposed to work after hours, you know, all times of day, all weekends, you know. But these guys, they want to get paid. If they come, if she, basically I need her to come to the office, or him, or whatever, and extend their hand, grab a package, and give me that package of documents. No, actually, yeah, there's more than that. They have to fill up some documents, and probably I gotta fill up, you know, the customs paperwork, you know. So that's what I figured. So my plans for the day changed for the better, meaning that I don't have to rush. So now I'm gonna take a break, and I'm gonna stay on the US side. There's a truck stop just like 2 miles south of the border. If you remember, that's where last time I was importing something, I had to turn around, go back into US, right? I think it was the same crossing. So now I'm gonna stop on the US side, wait, and they reopen at 7 in the morning, Regina time. Beautiful. So I get up at 6, which will be like 8 my time. So easy for me, and I'll go and tell the. Now I know that I have to tell customs, like the customs officer, Canadian Customs. I'm gonna tell them that I gotta go to this agent, pick up the package. You cannot process my. You will not see my customs documents online. So it's kind of like a manual clearance. Anyway, long story short, I got a break in a way, so you know, I love these unexpected time off, days off. But now, of course, my dispatch is gonna call me and say, hey, well, why not in Canada yet? Well, that's why, because they want money to come after hours. I'm not gonna pay money. You guys didn't pay me enough. You know, if they paid me like 20-40 grand for this load, yeah, sure. Hey, I will hire the guy, sit there all night, you know, at the customs broker building. Anyway, so that was a quick update. So from here, I think from the border, it's still gonna be probably like almost 2 days driving to where I'm going in Alberta. So, well, at least the weather's good. No snow. Rained a bit yesterday, like pretty hard, but you know, well, this Kenworth looks good. Check out his exhaust pipes. That's cheating, you know. That's not real dual exhaust. They tell you, hey, oh, okay, now he tells all his friends, I got dual exhaust. I'm a real. My truck is a real dual exhaust, but as you can see, there's a Y connection in there, right? So it's a single pipe. Single out of the engine, and then they just right in the back they split it into 2. And I don't like those you know, tips, which it's so clear that the actual pipe is smaller diameter than that. You know, why can't you just pay a bit more and get a bigger diameter pipe, or get that pipe chrome from the start? But this truck, you can see it's all set up like for driver's comfort. It has a tri-pack, so autonomous air conditioning, and it has in the back that thing over there. That's another thing. I think that's battery operated, kind of like independent air conditioning, so you can run that when the truck is not moving, you know, so you're not going to use your own battery. So, and this is a Wilson trailer. All aluminum. Must be expensive. Anyway, so not to tire you guys to sleep, but thanks for watching. Stay tuned, like, subscribe. Thank you.